Okay, let's see how this is going. Um, Hello, everybody, and welcome to 52 Miniatures. My name is Alex, and this is live stream number 19, I believe. And I've got a new mug. I hope you're all doing well. I'm a bit. I was a bit late today doing other things, so I might look calm and relaxed, but I've actually been running around like crazy for about 45 minutes trying to set this stream up. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Marcus. How are you doing? Good to see you. And Gutsub says, I've started off. I want to start saying your super glue hack is simply genius. I have loads of problems with clogging and really get annoyed. Also, you can't find replacement tops for super glue easily. Yeah, it's a bit cramped under here, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, the super glue trick, which is to not see this one. I've actually accidentally sealed, but like instead of sealing the super glue like tight, is just to sort of put the cap on like that. It's still a bit loose, and then things don't usually clog. And then once it's sort of, you can leave it like that for an hour or something, and then you can sort of close it properly. Works really well. So I'm glad that helped. Things are looking a bit strange. Sorry. Hello, Blue Fangs. Good to have you here. Everyone, please behave. Blue Fangs is on Robocop duty today. Hello, George. George says, good afternoon. What do you think about Tamiya paints and other paints with very glossy finish? Is a glossy mini a no-go? That is utterly personal, I believe. George, I very much enjoy a matte finish on a miniature. And some people like, there's just cables everywhere, aren't there? Some people like a glossy finish. I guess what one can have in mind with the different finishes is that whatever paint you put on top of, the layer of paint that is either matte or glossy, whatever you put on there will behave differently depending on if it's a shiny or a matte surface. Because say if you use a wash, like a Vallejo wash or a Citadel wash or like a contrast paint or something like that, the point of it is that it flows out, and the majority of the paint, like especially with the wash, like that majority of the paint ends up in the crevices. And a glossy surface is actually like a much smoother surface. That's why it sort of to our eyes appear glossy, because the light sort of bounces off of it, and whereas a matte surface is actually a rugged surface. So the reason why our eyes perceive it as matte is because the light doesn't actually bounce off it as well. It gets stuck in there. And so if you use a wash on a very matte surface, then the entire surface will stain more. Whereas if you have a glossy surface, that wash will just flow out a lot more smoothly. If you have a really, really glossy, super glossy, like these golden high flow acrylics, these are like transparent paints. This is super glossy. And sometimes I even have a hard time trying to get the next layer of paint to stick to this, because it's so glossy that it's like the next layer of paint just doesn't want to stick to it. Whereas if you have a very matte surface, then for me at least, it feels like I have more, if I want to do some really precise like brush strokes and stuff, it's like the paint sticks more like where I want it because of that rugged surface. And then there's just the looks as well. I mean, I tend to use the different finishes. You know, I can gloss varnish a miniature because I want to use an oil wash on there, and I want the oil wash to just really flow out. And then once that is dry, I'll matte varnish it again, and so it doesn't actually have to do with the gloss or the matte finish of the actual paint. It's using it, and then you can use it as an effect. Like if you have a really matte miniature and there's like lots of blood stains on it, if that blood is glossy and the rest of the mini is matte, then it's a pretty cool effect. Same as like if you have a water effect and that is glossy, but the rest is matte. So I think there's a lot more to it than if it's just there's like, do you like it? Is it cool or not for you? And then all the other things I talked about. That was a very long answer. Hello everybody, again. Hello Alison. Please, everyone who's in here, press like if you can, so that the rest of the world knows we're live. It seems like there's 34 of us. That's nice. Lord Biscuit of the Tossable, good morning. It has been a while. Good to see you. And hello, Jamie and MBP. WhenHow23 says, hi, recently tried a 10-minute live stream painting session on Instagram. All I got to say is I have my utmost respect for those that paint with a camera on. It is tricky to, actually do it while you stream. Because it's like you're going to be paying attention to the people that are watching. And you're going to try and, we used to just sit like this and really concentrate on what we're doing, and all of a sudden there's like an audience that you can talk to and things like that. I've actually got I just got to test this because I've got I'm wondering, does this work? No, it's black. Why? Okay, that wasn't good. That's not supposed to be black. That was part of me trying to test things today. I was setting this thing up, but it's not. Okay, that's a shame. What if I... Sorry, folks. There's some technical things going on. I just want to see if this actually works. Okay, so that works. You can see my head perfectly well. Wait, there we are. You can actually see this bottle of contrast paint as well. And hopefully you can see me in the picture. That's good. But it's a shame my screen thing didn't work, because now I can't really see what I'm doing apart from... But I guess I could paint this way. Okay. I've been trying to set up things and actually managed to get a second camera that kind of works, so I can actually look at you over there and at the same time sort of look at me over there. But the camera was going into this thing so I can actually see what I'm painting, so I don't go out of focus and stuff. But that doesn't seem to be doing, what it's supposed to be doing. It's got an in and an out, but okay. Sorry, I'm nerding along. Hello, Kim. I hope you're well. Trying to get my straight jacket off. I got really warm from all that tea all of a sudden, and I'm stuck. Can someone help me, please? Miniature painter stuck while trying to live stream. Lord Biscuit says glossy can work for some intentional effect, which isn't for everyone. Yeah. I mean, the reason why I like matte surfaces on a miniature is because a glossy surface reflects light, and that is light that comes from, our world, our environment. And It's like it doesn't play off the miniature in the same way as it would if the miniature was as big as I am, you know. And so if I paint things on the miniature that are mimicking an effect of light, you know, which usually I have, the miniature is a bit brighter around the head and up here than it is down by the legs, and usually you paint things a bit darker in the crevices and things like that. That effect can sort of be diminished a bit by reflections, and I don't like that. So I just, you know, think that a matte surface is cooler, but that's just me. George says, I almost painted my second Space Marine in Tamiya Clear Red over Vallejo Metallics, and it looks candy apple red. Love it. Yes, that's the thing, I believe. People like to do that. Hello, Girl Painting. I hope you're well. And Kylie Nelson, I hope you're doing well as well. Chris, greetings from Florida. Hello from Stockholm, Sweden. Jamie Mayers says, press like to appease the algorithm gods, sate their eternal lust for engagement. Yeah, they're like me. Hello, Chris from Nicaragua. I hope you're doing well. Girl Painting says, way more sophisticated setup than my tripod taped to a wood clamp attached to the table edge. Yes. I mean, this is where I usually film, you know, the stuff for my videos, but then I'm using the camera that you can see me out of right now is usually set up here. So, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this, you know. Hello. You can really see my nose there. It's a rather large nose. You know, so now I fixed so I can have a second camera, but I'd like to see what I do in it. But I can try maybe paint something later if, you know, to see if I can paint. I don't know why this didn't send any HDMI out. Is this cable buggered? I don't know. It has lots of tape on it, which is, I don't know why I've done that at some point. I could try just another cable, just in case, you know. Good morning, Stretch. I hope you're well too. And we Soren from Texas, welcome. Sven Dude, is that like in Sweden or just Sven? Thanks for all the great videos. You're welcome. I'm glad you see them as great. Jamie, what are you saying? I think this is a good point to ditch the work I was catching up on and switch to hobby painting. Are you talking to me now, Jamie? I'm not sure, but I don't really get it. We Soren, I painted some converted Age of Sigmar Slaanesh twin souls. I don't know what they are, but it sounds interesting. I know what Slaanesh is, but I don't know what twin souls are. Hello, Democracy and the Republic from Germany, and the Sparrow from Florida. Girl Painting is fine, good. I'm just great. Thank you very much. Swendu is asking, have you been using resin printing often after getting it? Yes, very much. So I've printed a lot. I think for different reason. One reason is I could show you one reason here. It's a lovely little miniature. Is it actually in focus? Kind of. It's a bit white, isn't it? Can I make that? That's another setup thing, isn't it? That's maybe a bit better. Is that too dark? No, I should be fine. So this is a miniature that I printed off my resin printer. It's a goblin with a mask on. It's been mining something. See, he's got all these rocks in here. He's got a shovel as well. And there's like a crystal thing behind him right there. This is from Lazy Squire Games. These are not. These are going to be in a video. That is not They haven't been released yet. Sorry, you can't see me. But anyway, I can talk more about them in a bit. But I'm going to answer your resin question. So that's one of the reasons is I get sometimes to do like sponsored videos, or you know, people want me to let you know that new games exist or new minis exist and stuff like that. And then it's very practical to be able to just send me STL files and I can print them. I like to print things like bits for kit bashing, my Stormcast dudes and all of that, and dudettes, printing heads for head swaps. I like printing bits for scenery, you know, for dioramas or for bases and stuff like that. I haven't, you know, printed like an entire army of something, not yet. But I have been printing a lot of things for different projects. But I see, for me, it's a lot about the bits, you know. And so yes, I've been printing a lot. Hello, Michael Strange. I hope you're doing well. Does anyone like my new cup, by the way? It's rather, I rather liked it. It was actually, this side is actually better. I guess it's a left-handed cup, it seems. I figured it'd go well with my streaming colors. Kylie Nelson says, I'm painting a STD. Is that also Slanesh? It's trying to be funny. Army with a Night Lord's color scheme, a Night Lords of Darkness army, if you will. Sounds like fun. Kylie? Sorry, my chat is going all over the place. Iron Miniatures, good morning from Victoria, Canada. 6 a.m. here. I've done a live stream on Instagram once. I think I want to try more of it, but it's hard on a single screen phone to paint and chat with viewers. I can only imagine, yeah, to be able to sort of see what you do and talk to people and all of that. I mean, I have a very hard time because if I'd start painting this little green skin over here, then it's also, I think, very much about, you know, the amount of people that are watching and start to interact with each other in the chat, because I think it tends to be quite a lot of you know, if I just shut up and start painting, then it's not always that anything else happens. You know, people are just watching me paint and there's not so much to talk about because I'm not talking about anything. And then it can start to feel strange because it's like, are people enjoying this or not? Or am I just going to, you know, paint and be quiet or whatever? And sometimes it's just fun because it feels like, you know, if I sit here and paint and you sit there and paint, we've got a, you know, a community thing going. But I find it difficult to sort of switch between concentrating on the painting and then concentrating on what you guys are up to and talking about and things like that. So it's a tricky thing, and I can imagine it's even more difficult just trying to do it off a phone. Marcus Stratus says gaffer tape fixes everything. It sure does. I'm a photographer by trade, so it's like my middle name is gaffer tape. Matthew says, love the videos. Glad I could catch you live to watch while I'm finishing up on a figure. It's good to have you, Matthew. What are you working on? Swedish name, but in the Netherlands, says Sven Dude. Democracy and the Republic. Is there a specific reason why so many painting and miniature game YouTubers are Swedish? Is this a kind of a hobby more popular in Sweden? I don't know. Are there many? Like I know of, admittedly, I don't really watch all that much YouTube. But I know of me and a gentleman called Leif, which has a channel called Devs and Dice that you should check out. And then, of course, Emil, aka Squidmar. That's the only ones I know of, and that's 3. it's not tons. Maybe there's lots of other people I don't know of. But no, I think the hobby is larger in definitely larger in the UK, um, because of being Games Workshop's home planet, I guess. And then I don't know in the States, it feels like it's more popular in the States, but on the other hand, there's just tons of people that live in the United States of Americas, and so percentage-wise, I don't know where it's more or less popular. I had a very interesting conversation with a gentleman about, um, what's up with China? China. Sorry, that was before that terrible election. But we're not here to talk about politics. I've always sort of been curious, like, does painting miniatures, does that happen in China? Because it's sometimes difficult to know what goes on in that country, because it's a bit sort of let's say shielded. And I was talking to a gentleman who lives there, and sort of organizes games club. We used to organize game clubs and stuff like that. And he said that it's growing, and it's sort of different because releases, it takes a long time for releases to get over there because of just the way things are. Things have to be approved, and apparently Games Workshop is the big thing, same as over here, and 40K, but it's still tricky because things get censored, and like, how do you yeah, just be culturally censored, like anyway. He didn't actually talk too much about that, but it was very interesting because he showed me some accounts of people on Instagram that paint, and man, they've got some great painters, and like he said, it's very competitive. Like the people really put tons of effort in trying to paint well, and it's very sort of competitive on that side. He said, which was kind of interesting because we try and have a bit more of a relaxed hobby vibe to it here. But he said it was a very, very, very high level, and he showed me some stuff, and it was even just some pictures he'd taken from gaming tables, and you look at it and go like, wow, is that actually my lord? So it's very interesting. So I don't think the Chinese market is anything for me, considering I'm not at that level that they seem to be enjoying over there. Sven Dude says you should do a video on favorite mini creators. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I kind of enjoy videos like that, but I also think there's a lot of idolization going. I'm just a guy in theory, that paints miniatures, and I like to make videos that maybe inspire people. That but I'm not like a celebrity, but we're kind of treating YouTube creators a lot like their personalities matter, which maybe they do, but I don't know. I think it's just sort of there's it's blown up a little bit, the sort of interest in the person and not the product. I don't know. Hello, Clyde Dashing. I hope you're well. Jamie says, I rarely make much sense. I've obviously not had enough coffee. I had a coffee day today. It was terribly strong, and I'm still kind of shaky. He says, basically, I'm using this stream as an excuse to start hobbying rather than doing work. Well, I think that sounds great because it is Saturday and you should not be doing work unless you work on Saturdays. But, we should all just work less, I think. It would be better. That's right, Alison. Star Trek. Shipwide environmental status thingy, and there's got all the decks with little numbers on it and cool things that you like. Reverse utilities distribution network normal, contingency distribution reserves are kind of low, and ESS bus source is closed, says the cup, which is cool for a cup. I'm looking into getting new cups, by the way. I think, and maybe try and sell them through my own shop instead of Teespring. Found this lady. Is a friend of mine. You all know. No, you don't. I made a video. I've made a video once with a monster hunter called Oscar, and he's also been in an advertisement for established titles. When you get a piece of land in Scotland and everyone gets really upset because you don't actually become a real lord for whatever it was, $5. And anyway, Oscar got some cups made for his for another project, and I think through Etsy they found a lady in the Ukraine that makes metal cups. And the whatever you put on there is actually sort of heated in. The paint is sort of it's really strong and resistant, and you can put it in the dishwasher without things fading off the mug and everything. And as he said, if I'm going to do merch, then why not? Well, no, if I'm going to support people in the Ukraine, then why not try and support people who are trying to still keep their businesses running? And I thought that was a really good point. And so if I get a design together, hopefully I can get an order through. He said it took ages, which is not so strange because there's a war going on in the country. But yeah. George says resin printing is great, especially using good quality ABS-like resin. Yes, that's one of my issues. I guess I'm really, really happy with my printer, which is a Frozen Mini 8K. The stuff that comes out of that machine is just spectacular. I find the detail level, and I use their resin, and because I use their printer and their resin, it's just been a really simple setup. I spent a couple of days sort of tweaking it, and then when I thought this looks great, I just haven't changed anything. And it's their sort of 8K resin, which prints really nice details, but it's very brittle. And I guess that's one of my issues. If I would be printing stuff for the tabletop more than sort of just for the painting, but actually things to game with, then I would have to look into a resin that is more sort of flexible, because this, if I would drop this mini on the floor, it would just shatter, I think. Clyde says always matching the color schemes, even with mugs. I mean, yeah, I've got standards, Clyde. Iron Miniatures says, but at least you're not wearing a red shirt. I kind of am. This is actually kind of red, but it's more like burgundy. Going to turn this one off because it doesn't. No, I was going to. Okay, I'm just going to test this. I'm going to test another cable. So I should be able to use this one instead, just to see if that works. Whoa, where did you come from? Excuse me for a little bit, folks, but I'm kind of curious as to why this is not working. And, the title of this stream is seeing if my thingy works or doesn't work. And as it's not working, then I need to fix it. What is everyone else working on? I saw the slaves. We've established slaves to darkness. So many cables. Okay. Wait. Oh dear. I'm sorry. Can you still see me? What's going on? Oh, that's no good. See, that works. Why doesn't that work? Oh dear, what have I done now? Interesting image, isn't it? What if I pull this out? Is that better? Oh no. I've done something terrible, and the paints are flying on the floor. And we're back to black. That was interesting. We can go from this to this now. I'm sorry. But it worked there for a second. But I don't know why the other one turned really weird. Okay. See, and now the camera rebooted. So I'm too bright and warm. And that worked for a sec, and now it's not working. And all my paints are flying on the floor. Why? Well, sorry, folks. I'm just going to go fiddle my camera. That looks better, don't you think? Okay, I don't know why that worked for a little second, and then everything went really wrong. This is annoying me. There we are. Okay, don't know why that worked now, but it's working. Ha! See, now I can actually see myself on this little screen here as well. So if I want to see if look, there it is. It's in focus, and I could paint it. Paint. Cool. You'll have to excuse all the cables, but I'm not touching anything. Enough excitement. Things are working. Kylie Nelson says, I got my mother-in-law a self-warming mug for Christmas. Its temperature and settings are controlled from her smartphone through Bluetooth. It's amusingly over-designed. Yes. But that's over the top. But congratulations to your mother-in-law. Kylie Nelson says, gaffer tape, is that what we across the pond call duct tape? Maybe. I'm not sure. It's black and has like, I was going to say fibers in it, but yeah. Greyfield says, painting. No, it's cleaning time. I should clean as well. My desk is a mess. But I've actually done, I've filmed 2 full projects. Okay, so this is bugging me out. Go away. I bet you things will stop working now just because I touch cables. Okay. I filmed 2 full videos, basically. The order of things have been a bit weird because of sponsored content, and so I've painted and filmed 2 full videos, but I still haven't released any of them because of things where I got a hold of a few things a bit late and whatever. but I've been working a lot with those things and have a lot of fun, but I've just not cleaned anything. So this thing, it's, it's a mess everywhere. Matthew says, working on a larger figure from the Resident Evil universe, still struggling with getting the eyes looking good though. Nothing that hours of practice won't fix, I think. No, I mean, whatever you do, if you practice for hours, then that usually helps when trying to get better. Eyes are really tricky. I can imagine even worse on like on a small miniature is like the cables are bugging me out. I'm sorry. I'm not concentrating on the important things here, but this is annoying me. Please stay. Where's my gaffer tape? But on a mini, you can, like, if you choose to do the eyes on something tiny, then it's like you screw it up or you don't, and then you just do it again, and it's just a matter of getting a few blobs in the right spot. Whereas if they're larger, if it's like a bust or something like that, then you actually got the opportunity to try and paint an eye that looks like an eye because there's a bit more space, and that would be really difficult. Blue Fangs, who says that her commission is from Singapore, is great at the eye thing. But yeah. Kylie says, I love devs and dice, but I've recently become necromunda curious and wish he enjoyed creating grimdark sci-fi terrain. Oh yeah, because he does the grimdark fantasy terrain. What's it called? That isn't necromunda, but it's fantasy. I forget. He does great terrain. Plastic Panzer Factory, Isaac, greetings and welcome. Okay, I just scroll down and people are saying things about more. More time. You're saying stuff about the audio. I hope the audio is fine. It was probably because of my fiddling. Trying to find my way back to where I was in the chat. And people, please don't forget to press like when you jump in. That's a great trick. It's like, oh look, he's streaming. Press like. People talking about gaffer tape. Yeah, it's really expensive. And I guess maybe duct tape is something like there is stuff that looks similar but is cheaper usually than like the proper gaffer tape. Gaffer tape is usually really expensive, but holds things, is pretty strong, doesn't leave much of a residue afterwards when you rip it off, if you manage to rip it off. But yeah, tape is there's a lot of different tapes in the world. It's there's even a special tape for taping dance mats. Can you imagine? Like you have a special mat that you put on the floor to dance on if you're like in a touring company with people that dance and they're on stage and they're going to have mats that they can dance on so that they get the right kind of grip and glide and all of that, and there's a special type of tape for taping that together. That's how many different types of tape you've got. Good morning, Carbine. Hope you're doing well. And Plato's Basement. And Ramirez. Hello, everybody. Brad says, taking a painting break myself since I just finished a strong coffee and got a bit jittery. See, that's the thing with coffee. And it depends on the day, I guess, and depends on what you've been doing. That, sometimes you get the shakes when you drink coffee, and that's not very good for miniature painting. John Lee Mortimer. Hello. Lord Biscuits, the Tossable, says, I agree, but I'm also working overtime. I think that's why my hobby enthusiasm kind of died. I ended up committing an awful lot of work all the time, among other factors. Don't be like me. Yeah, I did a bit of an interesting. Well, I'm still doing it actually, just because I thought, I don't know. I just got this thought that, if you support me on Patreon, for instance, to sort of support the creation of the videos, um, what is your money going into? You can obviously, if you can see what you can watch the videos on YouTube and go like, wow, I like that. I want to support that. So that's obviously, you know, that's it. But what's behind making the videos? Like, how much work is it? What is it? You know, in essence, why should I be paying this guy? And so I thought I'd just sort of, I just write down the hours I spend making videos, and on Patreon I could have a little, introductory video saying, this is what you're supporting. This is the work behind the videos, and obviously things are going to be different from different months, and depending on how much other type of, like, how much regular work I've got, or other spare time commitments and things. But so far I've been clocking time for 2 weeks. The amount of hours I put into making videos the last 2 weeks was 82 hours, I think. So that's, roughly the equivalent of I guess, a full-time job. Only I have another job, I guess. But it was actually interesting because it just, time kind of flies, I guess, when you're having fun. And so I didn't really realize the extent of the hours that were going into the videos. So yeah. Michael Head says, your approach to the hobby and your style to the craft of miniature painting seems to differ from other creators, and that makes you unique. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate that. It's, I don't know. I guess everyone's different. And that's one of the things with YouTube and all the different creators, is there's usually someone for everyone, kind of a thing. That's why there's always so nice when people choose to start making YouTube. Is usually, I think, a great idea, because there's always someone that's going to appreciate it. We all enjoy different things in life and different personalities and people, and get attracted for different reasons. I mean, I intentionally, I guess, I'm not very good at doing YouTube, as in following the YouTube rules. I talked about that in the other day with my patrons as well. That I want to. I've been trying pretty, you know, been trying to release a video every other week on Thursdays for the past year, I think. And I've also tried to stream every other week on Sundays, specifically, for about a year. A bit less, but about there. And I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't make a huge difference. I mean, I know the second half of this year has been a bit off because of the economy, because there's a lot of shit going on. Pardon my French. But I have about the same income from Patreon now as I did a year ago. It hasn't super exploded. I don't get tons of new subscribers on the YouTube. It's just sort of steadily going upwards, but it's nothing spectacular. And I'm not saying this as in I love the way I have it and the way things are. But trying to have that regular thing doesn't seem to feed anything. It's, and it just stresses me out. Like, oh shit, it's Thursday tomorrow. I just have to finish this. And so, like, now this past week, where I've had tons of fun working at 2 videos simultaneously, which is dumb, because that means next week I might release 2 videos instead of having released one this week and then another one in 2 weeks or whatever. But I can't really be bothered trying to do things the way things are supposed to be done, versus the stress that feeds, because obviously it hasn't really It's not like things have just exploded because I do things the way people say that YouTube appreciate the way you do things. So instead, I'm just going to be even more hardcore and do things the way I like to do things. And if that means that all of a sudden there's just one video a month, or if it's 4 videos a month, or if they're released on Thursdays or Saturdays or Tuesdays or Mondays, I'll just release them when they're done. And the same with the streaming is like I stream when I can stream because I enjoy your company. I'm not just going to stream for the sake of it because that's what I'm supposed to be doing every other Sunday. And I think that'll make me feel better. And then we'll try that for you and see how that goes. What do you think? Should I try stream and paint the paint? See, this is it. I just talk. I could be painting. Look, here it is. Could be painting this. Hello. I just love this little thing. Here's another cool thing, by the way. Here's a Ravaged Star production factory mini. Not 3D printed. Anyway. I mean, I could stream more and just sit and paint. I just don't know if YouTube is the right. I know people do things on Twitch, and I don't really know if I should dig into that or not. What do you think? Sparrow says, would you recommend investing in 3D printer for someone starting out in the hobby? I guess that depends on what you enjoy with the hobby. I think when I started out in the hobby, something that I enjoyed a lot was actually going to the game store and looking at all the boxes and, maybe the thrill of buying miniatures. That was, it still is, but especially when I started, was like, do I want these? Do I want that? Should I get these? With that, I don't mean that it has to be Games Workshop. Just the sort of the thing of going to a game store and buying plastic miniatures. I think that's the thing, and for me, it's a kind of an important thing. And if you want that to be part of your hobby and you're just starting out, then, it's probably simpler and cheaper if you just get the one box and you paint, and then you're like, oh, I kind of like this, and you can try that out for a while. Getting a resin printer is, a pretty big first investment. You have to print, you still have to print quite a bit of miniatures to break even with the buying of regular plastic. If you're the kind of person that I really just enjoy painting hundreds of miniatures. I'm gonna paint 3 armies at the same time and give them to my friends, and if that's what you're in the hobby for when you start out, then you can probably think about getting a resin printer. But I don't know if it's like the first thing I would get. I would maybe try cheaper options first, just to test around. Like, am I in it for the gaming or the painting or the that being said, if you're like if you're sorry, things are happening on the computer. If you're in it with friends, if you'd be able to buy a resin printer together with other people, then it could be a pretty good investment because you could spread out the cost, and everyone prints things for them for their different armies or whatever. But it's totally depends on what you're going to be doing in the hobby. I mean, there's people that just sort of paint busts, and like if you're going to sit and paint the one bust for a couple of months, then maybe a resin printer isn't the greatest option. But if you're going to be just churning out armies, and yeah. Kylie, I think I missed something here. You're like having a Sorry, I missed what you're saying. Lord Biscuit Tossable says, I think I enjoy videos because it's presented in a very interesting and visually pleasing way, but isn't extremely loud. Yes, I mean it's kind of difficult, Mister Biscuit, because loud works. You know, um, it's strange, but that sort of really typical YouTube thing with the thumbnail, and how the style of the video is, and uh, the the loudness and the YouTube, that works. That's why it exists. It's what the viewers watch, and in most cases, there's obviously exceptions, and so not doing that is sort of you kind of have to be intentionally not doing it, and just and live with that decision. I think I'm not gonna presume things, but I could presume that if I would have made louder videos, maybe I would have had uh, more viewers. I don't know. What do you think? Sorry, trying to find my way in the chat. I think I only reached sort of when I was fiddling around with the thing, and the sound gets weird, and then things are back. Uh, and Blue Fang says, while we're experiencing some technical difficulties, where I'm way behind here, why not join the Patreon? Exactly. Thank you, Blue Fangs. The Patreon is completely technical issue free. So, I mean, that is one of the things you pay for. You get to visit a technically superb website. Um, Actually, it's a bit slow on the back end side of things, the Patreon, but you don't have to deal with that. Okay, so I think people are saying reloading the stream makes the sound better. I'm sorry uh, for screwing things up, but now I can press this button and you can watch my hair, which I could, we couldn't do that before. Soren says, when you do a space marine in Star Trek setting, yeah, I know. I have considered. I just haven't found the. What is the Star Trek setting? In a clever way, not just like printing Mr. Spock and putting a space marine next to Mr. Spock and saying it's Star Trek. It's like the Star Trek backdrop is more just a vintage version of regular sci-fi. Like, whereas the Star Wars one, there's some things in Star Wars that is just so Star Wars, in like the design of the backdrops and everything. And I don't get the same feeling from Star Trek. It's just more sort of sci-fi interiors, Um, Kylie says, bought myself a Saturn S over the holidays, and I haven't had success yet. There's an incredible amount of variables involved. Is that the Saturn S? Is that a resin printer? I'm sorry, I'm terrible at these things, and I also forget names, but I'll Google it. Saturn S uh, printer. Okay, yes. So that's a resin printer. There is a Discord community. Help me out, please, chat. There's a great Discord community for 3D printing. Atlas support group, isn't that what it's called? Something like that. You could hopefully most definitely get help from there. Please correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat. But isn't there an Atlas printing, thing on Discord? That is great. Yes, Mordheim is what Devs and Dice builds terrain for at the moment. He has great ideas. He's very much into playability. We've talked about that, I think, in the past. I haven't talked to Leif in quite some time. But being able to utilize your terrain for playing games, flat surfaces, being able to put your miniature everywhere, stuff like that. He's really good at thinking about that kind of stuff while also building great looking terrain, usually from XPS foam and stuff like that. Hello, Die Pixel Spieler. Girl Painting says in Germany, gaffer tape is called Panzer tape. Of course it is. It wouldn't be German tape otherwise. Hello, Phil. I hope you're doing well. Kylie also says Vince Venturella just hit 100,000 subscribers after being at it for 8 years, putting out at least a video a week, and his weekly Age of Sigmar show, which he never missed. And yes, I saw that. Congratulations to Vince. Stretch says the night shift has started taking a more relaxed approach to releasing videos, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Yes, I saw that. I don't want tons of his videos. I do sometimes, and then I just sort of freak out because I'm like, wow, he's pretty good. And I saw he put out a video on not releasing as regularly, but he seems to have really been stressing out. I'm not stressing out that much. I can't because I have. Yeah, I don't know about him, but I mean, I've got a child and I've got a job, and I think he does YouTube full time. So I guess that can add even more pressure on having to just pay your bills with the stuff. Trying to find my way in the chat. Afox in the Meadow asks, what's the next project now that your Stargrave Warband is completed? Well, I have two major projects that I want to finish, which is basically doing all the MDF terrain I bought from Ryan from Brutal Cities. I've also been printing FDM stuff, like buildings on my FDM printer, as well as like scatter terrain things, like shipping containers and stuff like that I've been printing out on my FDM printer. I just want to paint all that. I haven't actually built all. I think I have like two more buildings to actually build the FDM terrain, the MDF terrain from Brutal Cities, and then just paint all of it. And so that's one thing. And the other thing is finishing my Stormcast army, which unfortunately I like. I played 2 games of Age of Sigmar during Christmas holidays, and I just couldn't really get a grip of my army list. Really, I played with unfinished painted miniatures and substitute miniatures and stuff like that, and I didn't really work out the way I thought. So then I changed things, which means um, I'm not going to be using some things that I've already painted, and that. But I mean, I guess I have about 20 miniatures I should paint or something like that for my Stormcast army, which is something I'd like to do, and then say I'm done with my Stormcast army. Then I have sort of a clean slate, which would be fun. I have a few projects that I would like to do that I'm not going to talk about because they can be secrets for the future. Things I can talk about that doesn't have to be secrets for the future is I would like to try out Conquest, game called Conquest. There's like 2 versions. There's what is it? Last Argument of Kings or whatever it's called, which is the army game, and then whatever Conquest. The miniatures are a bit bigger. They're like 35 mil scale. I have some of the miniatures. I think everything looks great. I think it seems very interesting, and I'd like to try that. We'll see how that goes. What else? I mean, I always have some small, there's videos I want to make, but they're not necessarily big projects. But yeah, the finishing the terrain and doing the Stormcast army is the big 2 that is still sort of hanging above me after the Stargrave crew. So Steve asks, how does the Ravaged Star production plastic compare to the provided 3D printed? That's an excellent question. Steve, let's have a look at this one. See if I can actually get in a bit closer here with my lens. No, it's not actually. Why is it nothing happening? That's strange. Oh dear. Okay, I guess I won't, but I'll do that. So I've painted probably about 12 or something Ravaged Star miniatures that were sent to me like previously last year, and they were all resin printed because these hadn't actually been made. And so this is from the factory, I guess. This is what everyone who is pledged and bought these miniatures, this is what they will be getting. And I've painted one of these as well, which is going to be in a video. And I have to say that I think compared to the 3D prints I've got to say that I think the detail on these is actually better. It's like the details are sharper in a way. These obviously have, mold lines, which a 3D print wouldn't have. I was happy to see that, or happy to find out when I was working on the other one. This isn't the best knife to show you, because I usually use this knife. Sometimes with these type of plastics, it's really difficult to sort of scrape the mold lines because the plastic is too soft. But that's actually not really the case with the plastic used for these. So I didn't have a hard time cleaning them, which was good. It's something I was a bit sort of scared of, because I have had other sort of plastic miniatures where where that were molded sort of in one piece, and where the plastic is so soft that you can't really clean off the mold lines. It's not the case here, which is great. But it's still, I don't know if I should be doing this. Will I break it? I'm not breaking it. It's really sturdy. This won't break when you drop it on the floor. Um, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, I'd say the detail level is higher than on the 3D prints. The 3D prints, on the other hand, were a bit. I'm not really sure how they were printed on what printer, but they were pretty. That resin was pretty flexible as well, so it wasn't like the most detailed resin, I don't think. But I mean, if we're not comparing to anything, if we just look at it, then I think this looks great. I'm really happy for Dave, because this turned out good. So I think everyone who's, well, I hope, but I think that the people that have backed and are getting these minis should be very happy about what they'll be getting, because I think it's pretty great. There's always going to be, like, regardless of medium or whatever you're going to say, like, there's no assembly on these because they're molded like in one piece. I've seen on one that was sent to me that was actually kind of glued together in places, but that was a bit of a special mini, so I don't know how that works. But someone glued it together. But these, come in one piece, and so that saves you assembly, and instead you get the mold lines, which we'll have to scrape. But usually you have to scrape mold lines on stuff from Games Workshop anyway. And, like, even if you 3D print something, you still have the little dots and stuff from the support that you usually have to clean up. So there's always, as of things are right now, there's not really any miniature that is of whatever, hard plastic, soft plastic, resin printed, that doesn't require some kind of cleanup in like 98% of all of the cases. So it's just different. But I was very happy to see that the plastic still was hard enough so that cleanup is actually possible. And yeah, detail level is great. I painted one. Won't show you because that would be spoiler alert. And paint great. So yes, Steve. If you've ordered them, I think you'll be happy. Jez Hunt says, I'm almost at the end of a Goblin regiment for Kings of War. I'm not really an army painter, so this is a new challenge for me for 2023. Enjoying it so far. Glad they aren't uniform colors, though. Yeah, army painting really is a thing, I guess. Especially if you're doing goblins, it could be potentially a lot of miniatures in one army. And I guess I think what I'm going to do for my next army, whatever that will be, and for whatever game it is to sort of set an expectation level of time spent. Like, just so I know for myself, like if I paint the one mini or 5 or whatever it is, if I know that it takes me 4 hours to paint one miniature, I need 50 for my army. Then I just know what it is I'm giving what I'm giving myself into, getting myself into, just mentally. Because I think that for me can be one of the dips, is like, it's never ending. Why did I? And you just, I should have this guy, and I should have these, and then and you have all these. There's the army, and then you start painting, and you're like, okay, so I've done one, and there's 49 left, and it's a month has passed. I think if you just mentally, for me, if I would just mentally prepare and know that, okay, if I start a new army, that means I need to paint for 100 hours or 400 hours or whatever. Just prepare my mind for that bit, and also find a level, like do test minis and go like, okay, well, this'll do. I'm just gonna have contrast paint on there, or I'm just gonna whatever, and it'll be good when it's on the table. Or I'm going to spend 2 years and it's going to be the best looking army I've ever done, whatever it is. Just decide beforehand, maybe a little bit. Maybe. I'm not very good at that. I usually change my mind halfway through, but I mean, I could try. Phil says, I'm a patron because 52 Minis and its Discord is my best and favorite hobby hangout by a mile, and it proves itself with added happiness every day. Thank you, Phil. That was some very kind words. I agree. I've been strangely proud of the Discord and the community, and it feels kind of strange to have a community, honestly. I'm just a guy in a bunker, for Pete's sake. BDO says, I'd go for diorama. Yeah, Star Trek meets 40K. Yeah, I know. And I have thought about, but I don't know what looks like Star Trek apart from like, this looks like Star Trek, but I can't put a Space Marine on standing on some, when you get into like the detail like that, if for me, the most typical thing is like what they look like. They have like red or blue or whatever, and there's a little thing here, but it's not like a stormtrooper from Star Wars is so much more characteristic than a guy in tights and a red shirt with pointy ears. He has a blue shirt though, the pointy-eared fella. Marcus Stratus says Atlas 3D. That's the support group you're looking for, Kyle Nelson. It's a Discord channel. Allison says maybe Space Marines and Tribbles. Is that the wait? Where did you go? There you are. Super soldiers and adorable balls of fluff. Is that from the old, the original series? When all of a sudden there's just all these like hairy balls everywhere, and they keep multiplying. It's like hamsters. I remember that. Grey Palmer says you could do a cool semi-transparent Space Marine beaming into the transporter room beside red shirts. Aye. Yeah. 1 year later, I'm just trying to paint a semi-transparent Space Marine. I think that requires someone with a bit more skill. You've seen that? That was years back. There's this artist. He used to paint himself like the environment he was in, and they'd take a picture, and it was like a photographic piece of art. So like he'd be in a supermarket and paint himself like the fridge rack behind him with the Coke bottles and everything, and he'd stand in front of it like total camouflage, and you can hardly see it. That's pretty cool. Star Trek lends itself beautifully to RP. What's RP, Phil? And thematic storytelling. It can be bent into TTWG. Phil, I don't know what you mean. It's difficult. But yeah, Klingons is a thing, I guess. But it's still not super. Like if there would be a Space Marine fighting a Predator, or like an alien from the Alien movies, it's just the imagery is so much stronger than like a Klingon in my mind. I don't know why. It's It's probably just a personal thing. I just don't think I love Star Trek. I've even bought the freaking mug. I just don't think the imagery, apart from like the spaceships, the outside of the spaceships, um, I don't think the imagery itself is super. It's not super big statements. It's not super clear what's going on. Um, but compared to a lot of other sci-fi things where it's just so. I mean, if you watch an alien movie and that whole HR Giga thing in the aliens is just so, yeah. Star Trek, on the other hand, like the sounds, super, just the sound of a transporter thing, or when they flip up their phones to call the mothership, just the noises, and then just the ideas themselves, and the stories in the series. But visually, um, there's there's like the concept art is not strong. I find. Someone gave me money. That guy in the sky. Hello. Um, Says, apologies for not being around the past while, Alex. I've been in hospital. I'm sorry to hear that. Uh, by the way, guys, feel free to donate and super chat the channel. Worth it. Thank you. I hope you're doing okay. I've been kind of wondering where you've been at, Mr. Guy in the Sky, and I hope your wife is doing well. But yeah, hope you're better. And thank you very much for the donation. And thank you for letting others know that you can, in fact, donate. If if you're a kind of person that feels that Patreon is not for you, you can donate in comments on YouTube and in the chat during live streams, which is pretty awesome. Then I can buy more mugs with cool looking spaceships on them. David says, suggestions for Star Trek setting, the Borg or Klingon aesthetics. Yeah, I guess yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like when you look at it from like space, you have the like the Borg cubes. It's like super. That's visually strong, and the Klingon ships, the shape of them, the shape of the Enterprises. That's really really strong. But as soon as you get into like the characters, I guess a Klingon face, obviously, it's a Klingon, but it might as well just be an alien, And I mean, the Borg are just people. I'm sorry, I'm not putting anything down here. I'm just trying to find the sort of visually, like I did that little diorama with I think it's over here. I'm just going to get it because the fun of it. I need to stretch my legs. People don't stretch their legs enough during live streams. Whoops. So like, this thing, there's things here it just shouts Star Wars, which is the little droid, and these lights here in my mind. And there's nothing going on. It's just a door and the lights and the floor and the little droid. But it's just so, to me, strikingly clear that this is about Star Wars. And trying to do the same thing with Star Trek would be like, I don't know. I don't know what I would do, really. It's apart from like having Mr. Spock here, or yeah, maybe I just need to watch more Star Trek and figure that one out. Bat says, sorry, I'm late. Computer threw a wobbly. Well, you're welcome, Bat. Phil says terrain, very cool. Yeah, I mean mainly it will be painting terrain. I haven't thought about the video. Uh, from the start when I got into the MDF terrain, I thought I was going to do a series on each building, kinda, because I have when I started out, I wanted to, you know, uh, exaggerate things. So I'd have the MDF building. I would probably glue lots of other bits and stuff on there, and like do lots of kit bashing, and maybe let's say like this is the laboratory, and I'd have a story about what's going on in the house and why it's a laboratory, and there'd be furniture and all of it, and then paint it, and or this is the temple of blah blah blah, and do that with all the different houses, which would be cool. But I think I've decided that no, I'd rather just paint all the terrain so I can game with my terrain, and then if I want to do stories on houses, then I can do that later. You know, it's been almost 2 years, I think, since I bought that MDF terrain. So this, I'm not going to do interiors. I'm not going to print furniture. I could do at a later stage. Now I just want to paint it, and maybe show how I assemble it, show the things that I have done. I have been adding textures and stuff like that, and then just concentrate on maybe just doing one video on me, painting all that MDF terrain and the little sort of tips and tricks and whatever that I've discovered along the way. But I just want to get it done so I can have it on the table, honestly. Prime One Collector says, any new Stargrave warbands you put together? I love the cyberpunk-inspired group. I mean, as of now, as of the latest video, I'm feeling like now I've got Cyberpunk Gang, I've got Space Orc Pirates, and I've got my like mixed crew, and so I should chill with Stargrave for a bit. Not that I don't want to, but there's other games I would like to, in that case, paint minis for. Like I still would like to play the Silver Bayonet, for example, but I don't have any miniatures in that setting. I have there was this Kickstarter which I can't remember. There's a patron also called Jamie that put out this. Here's some cool minis of a Kickstarter, and it's sort of hand sculpted miniatures, and then they make metal miniatures out of that. Very cool. If I can remember, I'll link it down in the description later. The Kickstarter is closed, but I think you'll probably be able to buy other miniatures from the same company. And they were really cool, sort of sci-fi miniatures. And in the Kickstarter, you could pick, do you want to pick 6 of them, or do you want to pick 3, or whatever. And I picked 3 of 6 from there, I think. And I just really liked the style. They were very sort of Stargrave style. When I paint them, I don't really know. They do really well as a Stargrave crew. But I got an email from Osprey Games on new games they were going to release, which I've I should put that in another stream because I haven't prepared it. But there seem to be some pretty interesting games that they were releasing. Osprey Games are the company that also released Stargrave. There was one that was looked like weird sort of World War One, but not World War One type game, like alternative World War One. And another one looked like sort of sci-fi versus monsters. I'm just judging from the pictures I saw that got sent to me, like monster hunting kind of. I don't know. Didn't they post on Instagram? Let's have a look. Osprey Games. Can I search for Osprey? Osprey Games. So this was one. I should be able to do this now. Not in focused. A war transformed. Uh, I thought that kind of, I don't know. I don't know more than from seeing that picture. I just thought it looked cool. World War One on the Dodgerland front, and like the fact that there's a dog that has a gas mask, and then there's this weird shrine thing, and just I don't know. This image pickles my interest. This was the other one, the doomed apocalyptic horror hunting. So obviously you have a warband here with weird ass like it's like medieval knights but with big guns kind of a thing. Hunting a monster looks cool, don't you think? And then there was bolt action, and then there was civil war. But these two, how cool does that look? Looks super cool. And unfortunately, I kind of say that for a lot of things. Um, but I feel like maybe with Stargrave, I've got tons of miniatures. Maybe I should just leave that and try and play Stargrave, but maybe expand my miniature collection into other type of games. See if there's any more images. No. So if I want to play the Silver Bayonet, or if I want to play a World War One game or whatever, I have miniatures for it. And like slowly, so in like 10 years time, I can just pick up a game and play the game because I already have the miniatures instead of just having 6,000 Stargrave miniatures or 40 different Stormcast armies. Kylie Nelson says the honest wargamer is what you want to look at for AOS army building. He just did a Stormcast Army Masterclass video. I know. I think he's doing a great job, but and I haven't seen his masterclass video, but it's my interpretation of what I've seen is that it's on a very competitive level. That's my issue with making army lists, is I'm not competitive. I go like, wow, that's a cool mini, I want it in my army. And then it turns out like if I pick that mini, then I can't afford to have that mini, which means I can't make that thing which makes the entire army actually good. So whatever I do, I'm going to lose if I play against anyone else that is competitive. And if you look at like Stormcast right now, it's like either you have all dragons, which is like, no, I don't want to have all dragons. There's lots of cool other things, but if you want to have a competitive army, you have all dragons, or you have like just the sniper, bowmen, archers thing. And I'm like, I know I'm exaggerating, and that there is obviously other ways to play Stormcast. I'm just saying that competitively, if you look at the majority of the lists, they are either based right now on dragons or crossbow things. Not sort of, I just picked one of each of the coolest minis. You're not going to see that. And that's one of my issues. And I think the Honest Wargamer is doing great things, and I usually try and watch it, but it just gets too sort of competitively niched, which is understandable because there's tons of people that compete and play tournaments with Age of Sigmar, So obviously there's that's just the way it is. Phil says, very cool future of terrain vids. The orc board from the recycling room was a favorite series of mine. I'm glad to hear that, Phil. Thank you. There's actually, I saw some cool terrain. Maybe I can I do that with my phone again? Because that was kind of nifty, like having I should be painting, but instead I have a film my iPhone camera. If we go to Brutal Cities, because that's where I got most of my MDF terrain from, like Ryan's been doing these cool things. Ryan is the guy who does everything over at Brutal Cities, and so these it's a bit dark, isn't it? Right? Oh, it's the brightest. See these sort of sheets here? That's actually sort of MDF bits, and so this is just a foam, whatever. That's not what you're buying. You're buying these just weird sheets that you can put together in any sort of odd way. See all these things? It's just like random bits that you can. There's no. Oh, brutal cities. Hey, everyone. Hi, Ryan. How are you? Okay. Is there more pictures? Yeah. You see the little, just the. So you just get pieces of MDF that look cool, that look sort of sci-fi, and you can sort of put them together any way you want and attach them to things, like attach them to rocks or whatever you want. And it's just stuff that looks cool. And if you want, you can put them together so you have like a wall, or it can become a roof or a shelter. And there's no from what I understand, there's no like specific um, instruction. Like, you don't need to put this piece with that piece. You can say this piece and that piece would look cool if I put them together, and that's why you do that. And I've never seen that in MDF terrain. I think Ryan is a smart fella. So yeah. Mick Langen, hello to the chat. At last, I've made a live stream. Well, welcome. Good to see you. Trying to find my way in the chat. Marcus says, I like YouTube streams more than Twitch because you can go backwards in time, but also no ads. Okay. So can you actually do that now, Marcus? Like, even though it's live, can you go back? Because that's cool, I guess. I mean, I think I don't know if that's how it started, if it's a financial thing. I remember, and I haven't really been paying attention, but that there was talk about the fact that, if you're on YouTube and you release a video, then how people react to that piece of information that you just put up is very different if it's like a regular video or if it's a live stream. Like right now, there's 95 people watching. And if I would have released a video, then now 1 hour later, a lot more than 95 people would have watched that video, and a lot more people would have pressed like, a lot more people would have left comments, and so that means that a regular video is seen as a lot more interesting than sort of a live stream. And so when you live stream, that sort of drags your stats down and makes your channel less interesting in the world of algorithms. I would have thought that because it's a live stream, then YouTube would treat all this information in different ways, so that it wouldn't really matter if obviously they would encourage people to live stream. But I don't know. There's not so many, tons of people that. I mean, I see a lot of people that sort of live stream on YouTube and they remove the live stream once they're done to not mess with the algorithm. There's talk about, if you live stream close to a release of a video, then YouTube might push your live stream instead of the video you just released. And I don't know anything about this. It's just things I hear. And I don't know if that is a reason why people choose to stream on Twitch, because then you just separate it. You let YouTube do the YouTube thing with the regular videos. People go to YouTube to watch your sort of regular content. And if they want to watch you live, you do it on another platform. And so that the two won't mess with each other. I just personally think it's easier to stream on YouTube because that's where all the subscribers are. But on the other hand, like, I have almost 60,000 subscribers and there's 91 people in the chat. So maybe it doesn't really matter, and maybe I might as well do it on Twitch to not ruin the algorithm for the regular videos. I don't know. I wish someone would tell me. That guy in the sky says, I haven't been to live stream in ages. I know, and it's good to see you again. And I am well, thank you. And come on, Ireland in the rugby versus France. Rugby is one of those things that I am not we don't have rugby, but go Ireland, of course. Vladimir, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. Clyde Dashing says, "Just a guy in a bunker." Good tagline for the channel. Yeah. Todd says Spock, which is yeah. It's a tricky diorama though. I mean, it'd be fun to have like if you can 3D print Spock doing like the Vulcan death grip, and have him having a what are they called? Space Marine on its knees, sagging down because it's been death gripped by a Vulcan would be fun, but it's still just yeah. Nairb Namkrov. I finally caught the live stream. Your videos relax the heck out of me on long trips for work. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. And great to see you in a live stream. Iron Minchin says, "I'd love to see a video on how to paint hard to reach areas on minis if you don't paint sub-assemblies or the like." I don't really paint the hard to paint bits, I think. Like if I can't get to it, then it doesn't get painted, really. I try and just smudge black or something. I mean, I guess that's one of the benefits of like a Zenithal Prime. Then there's always some kind of texture gets in there, and then you can just smudge something on top of that texture, and it looks. But yeah, I try to paint less and less on miniatures. Like if I have a miniature like this, then whatever's going on around in here is not important. Whatever's going on under here is not important. Whatever's going on under there is probably important for her, but not for me. And it's like it's this bit and the gun. This is kind of what's important. Maybe that little thing on the knee and the cape, but otherwise there's not much on here. And so I kind of find that whatever I can't reach is usually not really all that important to paint. And so I just try and make sure that it doesn't stick out, that it's not sort of white or so I tend to just try and smudge dark paints on, just so that it looks less visible. Oops, sorry, brush. Marcus Stratus, thank you. More money. Thank you, Marcus. You're already a patron, so I appreciate it. Aliens versus Space Marines. Alex, this is a great idea. I know. I've been thinking the exact. After the words came out of my mouth, I was like, I just shouldn't talk about that anymore, because that. Then everyone will know that I'm probably going to do one of them. But now everyone knows. So now we just need to find some good alien STLs, Marcus. Because that is a good one. And there's so many possibilities, like crawling in the shaft above the Space Marine, or just the Space Marine shooting the crap out of or whatever. There's tons of great things that could be done with an alien and a Space Marine. And or in the slimy, like with the egg, or just I don't know. Yeah, great stuff. Phil says, okay, great, thank you. Here's the Phil. Oops, sorry, microphone. The Phil dictionary, RP role playing game and tabletop war gaming. I get it. Thank you, Phil. Modifius recently brought out Star Trek: The Next Generation era miniatures that look rather nice. It might be interesting to see it flipped with crew beaming into the 40K universe. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Blue Fangs, for being Robocop. There's lots of good Star Trek things here. I'm reading it. AF AFOX in the meadow, it says, I also failed to see the appeal of generic polyester shirts and badges with Star Trek in a mini environment. I mean, I'd like it if it was just doing like a Star Trek thing. Like, imagine making a diorama that is like the command bridge of the Enterprise, or just with the chair and the people. That would be kind of fun, and trying to get, the colors right on their shirts or whatever, and trying to build the, bleepy bleepy bloppy looking 60s computers. But in like a setting that is that's like this one, where, I don't know, I've just been trying to find like instantly recognizable, like, oh, that's Star Wars, without it being, I obviously didn't want Darth Vader in here for a, because I don't want, subtle yet obvious. And yeah, kind of tricky. Marcus Stratus says, what about TTWG MMORPG? Yes, tabletop war gaming. Okay, yeah. Martini78 asks, are you involved with the Mutant game from Free League? No. Or at least they haven't told me yet. I don't know what that is. I don't think I know what that is. Steve says, in the comment of science fiction environments in movies, I always seem to get lost in the set and item world building that has to go when making a film. What are some of your favorite environments? Like in sci-fi environments, I mean, the usual ones, I guess. I think Star Wars is brilliant. Just how they managed to create that world, the visual ideas, like from the concept art to the finished thing. It's just so Star Wars. That's really, really difficult to create a world that is just where everything feels not out of place. Not, and I'm not talking about episode 1, 2, and 3, because that just feels out of place. But the original 3 films are really, really well done. It's like it's like it's the truth. It's like that's just the way it is. And it's kind of difficult to beat that. It's an enormous feat. And I don't know, Blade Runner is another one where everything just feels like they're not actually lying, like it's not telling a story. This is like, we've time traveled, or we're just here now, and you accept the fact that this is what this world looks like because everything feels correct. The thing with Blade Runner, on the other hand, is a lot more visual when it comes to the light. It's a cinematograph, I don't know. It's film. It's a lot about lights and mood and stuff like that. Whereas Star Wars is more props in my mind, and there's not. I wouldn't say like there's much moody type lighting in Star Wars, whereas in Blade Runner everything is about where you put the light and the smoke machine kind of a thing. But still, it's like it's just great. What else? When it comes to sci-fi, I don't know. I'll have to think for a bit. Marcus says hassle-free minis was the Kickstarter. Yes, the one I talked about earlier with the where I got like a half a new Stargrave crew is from hassle-free minis, I think. Thanks, Marcus. Jez Hunt says Dodgeland is the now sunken land that connected mainland Britain to the continent, swallowed by the North Sea in the Mesolithic times. I'm well curious about that game. Me too. I'm fortunate enough to, ever since I made the Stargrave video a long time ago, the good people at Osprey Games have a tendency to send me books every now and again. So like they sent me the Silver Bayonet, and recently they sent me the can't remember. Sorry, it just slipped my mind. But so I'm hoping that maybe I get my hands on those books as well. David says, I wish there was a tabletop game set in a children universe where it's all about snowball fights and snowfort skirmish. The subject and color schemes would be more suitable for dad with young children. I think that's a very good idea, David. And you could still, I mean, if you want to lure in people with the same kind of aesthetic, you could still have like goblins throwing snowballs versus dwarves throwing snowballs. Kind of like Blood Bowl without the blood, I guess, is what you're looking for. But I mean, it could be any concept. Yeah, I wish there was more. There probably is. But I mean, when you get into maybe more board games and stuff like that, games to play with children. But I kind of, I don't know. I have this suspicion that I hope maybe is correct, maybe not. But I mean, I'm noticing that a lot of the people that watch my videos, for example, are people that are like me, which is someone that used to do the hobby as a kid, or like a young teenager, whatever, 12, 13, 14, and then maybe stopped doing it, or maybe didn't continue doing it as much, did other things, worked, and then had children, and then eventually came back to the hobby. That's been at least my sort of journey, and I keeps meeting people that tell the same story. And so obviously there's all of a sudden there's maybe a new demographic of adults that have children that wants to play tabletop games with their children. Because when we grew up, or when I grew up, because I don't know who you are, you might actually be one of the children, but the demographic was like making games for 14-year-olds that were going to play other 14-year-olds, or and then maybe they grew a bit older, so that all of a sudden the demographic was making games for 17 to 20-year-olds that would play other 17 to 20-year-olds. And now all of a sudden there's a demographic of having 40-year-olds that want to play games with 12-year-olds or 8-year-olds. And I'm thinking maybe that's a little bit new when it comes to having that, as for a company, that all of a sudden there's now, maybe people would like to buy a game to play with their kid. I don't. I'm presuming this might be relatively new, you know. And so maybe more of that type of games will be coming along, because that also involves, maybe having rules that are a bit simpler, and maybe having more cooperative games. Like, I don't really look forward to playing a adversarial game with my son, because he just doesn't really like to lose, and a lot of kids are that way. And I think we would have a lot more have more fun playing a game together if it was a cooperative game, stuff like that. But yeah, maybe there's tons of stuff around that I'm just not aware of either. And if there is, please, people in the chat, let us know. And everyone who is also here visiting, please press like, because then more people will join in for the last coming 8 minutes. Say hi, welcome, bye. Okay. It's hard to spend the weekend painting half-naked warriors with gore when the children are around 5 to 6 years old. That was regarding the snowmen. Yeah. But on the other hand, usually kids, I mean, it depends. 5 to 6 years old is fine. But I mean, my son, who's 7, he thinks that kind of stuff is kind of cool. If we go to the game store, if he picks minis, it's gonna be like demons with big swords and blood, and like, wow, check this, yeah, wow. The size of the gun is, important, or the size of the sword, or the size of the axe, and not like, wow, that's beautifully sculpted. I don't give a rabbit's fluffy behind about beautiful sculpting. I just want big guns, and there's plenty of that around. Stefan says a Conan the Barbarian Space Marine, and then Phil says Conan the Cadian, which was very funny. Phil, thank you. Hello, Torquemidus. Axev in the Meadow says, I love your shorts. I'm actually wearing jeans. Sorry. That was a dad joke. I wish you did more. I like the glow-in-the-dark robots one. The sound and edits are so good. Yeah, that's another, it's strange. I've been doing a few just for the fun of it, because I like taking things out of the videos and just putting it in a short format, because that's another thing, like with all the YouTube stuff, is all of a sudden YouTube wants to is scared of TikTok, because people are watching TikTok and not watching YouTube anymore. So then you're supposed to do YouTube Shorts, and if you do YouTube Shorts, then YouTube will like you and maybe premiere your other content. Maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of difficult to put, my why I like making videos. I have a hard time doing something that it only takes 12 or 15 minutes. It's like I could do 20 to 30-minute videos, and condensing that into the 1 minute is very, because they have to be under a minute, is difficult. And the format of, if you film everything like this, because this is the correct way to film things, and then try and use just that much of that material, because I'm not going to go around filming stuff like this. I have a reputation to uphold. I have 20 years of experience walking around filming things like this. I'm not going to be turning my phone around. But just to me, the aesthetic is wrong. But then on the other hand, it's kind of fun. I actually thought of it because I thought it could be actually a good tool because my videos are more sort of storytelling. Well, it's not. It is stories, but they're about me, so they're kind of true. I kind of miss out on a lot of opportunities to share maybe specific tools or tricks or things. Like I recently made a short with what's it called? The liquid mask, just because I thought that, wow, liquid mask is really nice. I hope people know about it. Maybe I used it in the video, but I didn't even talk about it in the video because I was busy talking about the story behind the miniature. And so then I made a short just of me using the liquid mask, because maybe people can see that and go like, oh, wow, that's what I should be using for my project. Thanks for the reminder, that kind of a thing. And so it's a pretty good medium for that. If there's specific things that I do, which could be like I painted this yellow the other day, just as I wanted to try something out. This is I'm not really sure I like it, but it could maybe with some practice be a simple way of painting yellow, and it's super simple. And maybe I can just do a short instead of just dropping that idea, because I don't know what to do with that information in a regular video because I'm too busy writing a pretentious script. Then maybe I could just do a short of like that thingy. Who knows? So I'll see. I just wish they weren't. I just wish it wasn't the vertical format. I hate it. Sorry. It's like, well, can't the kids just? How difficult is to flip it? You flip your phone when you're watching a video. Sorry. Orson Welles is, crying in his grave. For Pete's sake, there's a lot of chat that I should maybe try and work my way through the stuff in the chat. I haven't been able to paint my. I'm actually gonna. I showed this fellow off. What did I do? Whoops, sorry. That's the button I should be pressing. This is just the one miniature of lots of other miniatures that I painted for a video. And these are actually from, sorry, get that out of the way. These are actually from Lazy Squire Games that I've worked with them in the past. I think they're great. Make great miniatures and great sculpts for different things. And this is for a upcoming Kickstarter, which is kind of based. I think it's based off of something called Legends of Keepers or something. It's like a computer game that they've been working together with these people and making miniatures based off of that computer game. And I painted like 3 smaller miniatures and 1 big miniature and printed out a bunch and just to have a look at them. And I thought there was tons of great things. And it's for D&D, obviously. There's going to be a big thing. Kickstarter, you get all the minis and a book that is you can use everything for D&D and like the stories and art and all of it. There's going to be a video on it, but I just wanted to say it because I think I just thought the miniatures were cool. This was just one of the goblins. It's got tons of other things. Why was I saying that? I don't know. Anyway, I just said it. Borrows and badges may be worth a look too, says Jez about games that might be good for kids, I guess. Phil still is encouraging me to paint an orc on a feathered T-Rex. Yes. I hear you, Phil. Lots of people are helping David out with games to play with kids, which is great. Thank you, everyone in the chat for that. Old Spaceman X says, I notice you have an amazing amount of lighting equipment and camera gear lenses, and your videos are always so well produced and pleasant to look at. Is photo video part of your day job? Yes, that is exactly what it is. I'm originally a still photographer, but the last years I've also been working with moving images, as they are so called. So basically, I'm a guy that holds a camera that can make a glass of water look really good. Hello, Mark from Montana. How are you? Good afternoon. Sorry I'm late to the party. Still adjusting to jumping back an hour earlier with the time zones. Oh, yeah, because you moved. That's right, Mark, of course. Got some new paints from Ammo by Mig. I haven't tried any of the paints from Ammo by Mig, and I've always been a little bit curious. I have been happily surprised by the AK interactive paints, so I guess I should also try some of the Ammo by Mig ones. On the other hand, I've just got so much paint, but it'd be fun just to know what they're like. But I hope you're doing well, Mark. Pretzel says, would love to see you tackle the Idols of Torment models. I've made a video on that, Pretzel. If you want, you can check it out. If you haven't already, I painted a few of them. We did this cool piece of art thing, me and a lady called Veronica. She's a really talented sort of, creator of things. And so she built this piece of art made, the majority of it is made out of miniatures from Idols of Torment, and that I then painted. And I'm going to see what the video is actually called. The video is actually called We Made Miniature Art, and then within brackets, Idols of Torment. It was released on the 15th of September and has 23,652 views. And 99.1% of the people that watched the video liked it. So check that one out, Pretzel. Tobbeström, hello to you too. I'm just sort of quickly going through a few of the comments here. I will be ending shortly, unfortunately. It's been 2 hours, and I'm supposed to be going to a dinner today. So, which is nice, but I mustn't be late. Soren says, I wonder if you can get Star Trek transfers for computer screens. What do you mean? I don't really get it. W. Soren? Like stick a big transfer on my... Yeah. Caffeinated Miniatures, hello. I hope you're well. Everyone in the chat as well can check out Caffeinated Miniatures as a YouTube channel to check out. He's right there in the chat. You can probably just press the thingy. I don't know, maybe. Sorry, my chat is jumping. Brian, this was probably when I was talking about simpler rules, as Brian says, I could certainly do with simpler rules. I kind of agree with you there. That's one of the cool things as well with the Ravaged Star. We were talking about earlier of the Ravaged Star minis. There's going to be a bit of a surprise in... I made a video, I painted one of them and did a big thing. The only thing was that it was actually... The packet went on a tour of the world or whatever. And so I actually got the miniatures after the due date of the video, and so we sort of changed things around. And so I've also been introduced to what more is coming to the universe of Ravaged Star, which is not only these Veil Touched. There's another 2 factions coming, and there's a game with rules and stuff, which is looking maybe a little bit simpler than in a good way. I hope. I'm going to read up more on it, but I'll be putting a bit of that into the video as well, which is kind of cool because I've been sent some secret things that I can show off. Haha. Marcus says, my daughter has a real hard time losing and isn't interested in scary sci-fi stuff. Yeah, I think it's a thing of the age. I wouldn't want to try and play something competitive with my son. You know, he's got a hard time losing in snakes and ladders, so you sort of have to sort of go, oh, you can just skip that snake, you know. Sprek PMC says, hello, this is the first time I caught one of your live streams. Well, welcome. Unfortunately, it's going to be a very short experience for you because I'm soon going to be ending this, but it's great to see you anyway. Eric says, how about a flip through your sketchbook or the paint journal again? You mean my book of paints? I'm not really sure where that is. I think it's up. Is it up there? I'm actually not sure where that is at the moment, Eric. I think I might have it at home. Pretzel says, shorts with basic skills and techniques are the best. This is how to do an edge highlight. Yeah, and I just thought it'd be a fun, like, because like that with the liquid mask, it was just like not necessarily showing people how it's done, just, you know, reminding people of the fact that it exists and that you might benefit from it, or if you know, from whatever project you might be working on. Shrek PMC, I'm reading all your messages here, but I'm also sort of trying to end the stream. So I'm sort of, but thank you for writing all these things. Okay. I think I catched up. Stretch says, thank you for the live stream. I have to go walk the dogs, which is good. I should go walk my own dog that I don't have, but I should go walk myself. So thank you very much, everyone, for jumping in today. We managed to actually sort this thing out, which was kind of cool. Probably now that I take it apart, it won't work again, but at least now we know that I can. Oh, can I do a, wait, can I? Yeah. Is that, whoa. What's a mix? Ooh, what's a dip? Ooh. See, there's the Star Wars fade. This is my favorite. The fact that you can see my head is also maybe not, but that sort of Star Wars fade. It's like you know, you can see the sand dunes on Tatooine, and then you're on the Death Star. Okay, thanks everyone for watching, and now we know that maybe one day I could paint on stream, which is kind of cool. See how that goes if I do it. I, you know, just jabber away instead, and that's, yeah, kind of difficult to paint and talk at the same time, I guess. But now we know there is a possibility, which is fun. I hope you guys have a great, continue to have a great weekend, and next week, hopefully, I mean, there must be a video release next week because it's kind of done. No, it's not. I need to write the script and everything, but it should be out next week. And then and yet another video pretty close in conjunction to that, which is fun. And I hope you like them. I really enjoyed making them. Yeah. Have a good one. Bye.